Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here in the sports entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here on PRConnectionRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rickelli. We have an amazing show planned out for all of you. And yes, the Vegas Golden Knights, there's plenty of content that we'll be talking about with Vegas soon enough. Henderson with what's going on there. UNLV Rebels Hockey, they're coming back in a little bit. But the one thing we really need to talk about here on this episode of Vegas Hockey Hub is we need to look at our future. And more importantly, we need to look at the future of the NHL. Because there is an insane, I mean really an insane amount of talent that is under the age of 21. These guys can't go to the casino. You can't gamble. You can't go to our sports betting capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada, place a couple of bets down. They can't have a legal drink yet. But what these players can do is slap 100-mile-an-hour slap shots past the goalie in the net for the goal. I mean, it's insane that these guys under the age of 21, they have an insane amount of talent. But let's talk about who is the best player in hockey under 21. Who is the best player in the NHL that was born from 2002 to 2005? Essentially, that's the time frame we are going to be doing for tonight's episode. So before I break down our top 10 here, I'm going to give an honorable mention real quick. Because the honorable mention has to go to our Vegas Golden Knights own and the best Vegas Golden Knights player under the age of 21, and that is defenseman Kaedan Korczak. Kaedan Korczak, the 21-year-old, drafted in the second round of the 2019 NHL draft, came from Saskatchewan, Canada. This is a guy in Kaedan Korczak who's entering his third season playing professional hockey with the Vegas Golden Knights. Second season in the NHL. He has actually had a cup of coffee with the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, he has only had 1 point in 4 NHL games for Vegas, but his stats in Henderson are more respectable. In 2020-2021, his first professional season, had 11 games played. He had 3 points, a plus 11 for his plus minus, and he had 8 penalty minutes. So I think that was really remarkable for Kaedan Korczak. The fact that in 16 games in his first professional season, 1 goal, 3 points, and a plus 11. Year 2, which happened to be year 5 of the Vegas Golden Knights franchise, 2021-2022, he played in 49 games for the Henderson Silver Knights. He had 2 goals, 12 assists, 14 points. He had a -4, however, and he actually accumulated 40 penalty minutes in his second season with the Henderson Silver Knights. Now, the current season, the 2022-2023 season, his third season in Henderson, he is so far in 30 games, 2 goals, 8 points, and a -2 and 18 penalty minutes. So when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, you have Kaedan Korczak, you got Lucas Cormier. There is some good young defensemen under the age of 21, but out of any of them that are currently standing out, Kaedan Korczak would be the best. So he would be my honorable mention if I had to include a Vegas Golden Knight. So defenseman Kaedan Korczak will be your honorable mention. Now, getting into the actual list, let's go to number 10. We're going to go to Carolina, one of the best teams in hockey at the present moment. And right wing Seth Jarvis has been a vital part of Carolina. Now, Jarvis has had an interesting road to the NHL, and his stats kind of speak for himself as to why he is on the top 10 and is someone that will be a vital part of the future core out here in Carolina. So Jarvis, who is 20 years old, currently was drafted in the 2020 draft, 13th overall, came from Winnipeg, Manitoba. He's on his second-year deal, $800,000 contract. But when it comes to Seth Jarvis, he spent 1 season in the AHL in 2020, 2021, had 7 goals in 9 games. Just wow. very impressive in his first professional season playing pro hockey. 7 goals in 9 games, had 11 points during that time span, and a +8. In his first season playing in the NHL, 2021-2022, he had 17 goals, 40 points, a +11 in 68 games that year. Then the Carolina Hurricanes made the playoffs in 2022, and he had 8 points in 14 playoff games in his first taste of Stanley Cup playoff hockey. Now, in 2022-2023, the reason why he is at number 10, he has unfortunately had a little bit of a decline from year 1 in the NHL. In 40 games, 6 goals, 20 points, and a +2. So far, when it comes to Seth Jarvis, 108 games played in the NHL, 60 points, not bad. And when you include the 8 playoff points he had in his first year in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So Seth Jarvis would be number 10 from the Carolina Hurricanes. Only 20 years old, has a bright future in the NHL. But I have to include him at the present moment because of what he has been doing the past 2 seasons in Carolina. So to go from a guy who was 13th overall, we have to go to somebody who was a number 1 overall pick. All right, we need to go to somebody who some people are labeling a bust, and it hasn't even been 3 seasons full of his career. Alexis Lafreniere, the number 1 overall pick from the 2020 NHL draft, the guy from Quebec, Canada. On his final year of his rookie deal, he signed with the New York Rangers with Jeff Gorton back in 2020. I mean, look, when it comes to Alexis Lafreniere, 175 games played in the NHL, 36 goals, 70 points, and a -4, and also 55 penalty minutes. Now, I think the reason why he is getting a very bad rap and the reason why he has been getting a lot of unwarranted pressure is because he was a number 1 overall pick. Because you had teams that were tanking during the bubble trying to get Alexis Lafreniere. I also believe that him and Gerard Gallant simply are not good for each other in terms of playing, in terms of chemistry, in terms of how they play, in terms of coach and player relation. And you could really see what happened with Alexis Lafreniere based off of his statistics. So in year 1, 56 games played, he had 12 goals, 21 points, but a -7. Year 2, he missed 3 games that year, so he played 79 games, had 19 goals, 31 points, and a +2 in 37 penalty minutes in that 2021-2022 campaign. The New York Rangers made it to the Eastern Conference Finals that year, so in 20 playoff games in the 2022 playoffs, he only had 2 goals and 9 points in the 2022 Stanley Cup playoffs. Now, for the 2022-2023 season, in 40 games, he has only had 5 goals and 18 points. In fact, it's gotten to a point where Alexis Lafreniere has actually been on one of the bottom 6 for the New York Rangers. There's been times where, he looks like he's just lost in New York. So I will say when it comes to him, it's an unfortunate situation, but it's a problem where I just feel like he is in the wrong system. I don't think that him and the New York Rangers is the best opportunity for him. So I would not be surprised if not this season, but the next offseason, if number 9, Alexis Lafreniere, if he ends up getting traded by the New York Rangers, if Gerard Gallant and the management out there in New York decide to trade him and get some value. Because it's just very clear and very noticeable that Alexis Lafreniere does not feel comfortable in Gerard Gallant's system. That Gerard Gallant and him are simply not going to get the best out of his talent. And with him being a number 1 overall pick in 2020, that's one of the main reasons why I have him at number 9. His stats do not look incredible at this point, but he still has the talent. He still has the potential to become a great player in the NHL. I just wonder if Gerard Gallant and the management in New York would eventually trade Alexis Lafreniere and get some value back, because having a number 1 overall pick on your bottom 6 is an alarming thing to have out there in New York. So that's who I have at number 9. Number 10 was Seth Jarvis from the Carolina Hurricanes. Our honorable mention was defenseman Kaden Korczak from the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, going to number 8, we have Lucas Raymond from the Detroit Red Wings. So there's going to be 2 players from Detroit on here, which really should show you, by the way, how great that are developing and the scouting has been in Detroit. But Lucas Raymond, the 20-year-old from the Detroit Red Wings, was taken 4th overall in the same draft with Jarvis and with Lafreniere. And Lucas Raymond came over from Sweden, is on the 2nd year of his 3-year deal he signed with Detroit, his entry-level deal. Now, he signed with Alexis Lafreniere. He signed with Steve Yzerman, signed with Seth Jarvis. I mean, that 2020 draft class, he is currently on the second to last year of that rookie deal that he got in Detroit. So Lucas Raymond with Detroit, the reason why he is on here is because he has become one of the vital bright spots in Detroit. Year 1 in 2021, 2022, he played all 82 games, had 57 points, 23 of them being goals. So Lucas Raymond lit up the lamppost a lot in Detroit and was one of the vital parts of making the Detroit Red Wings go from being a bottom feeder in the NHL to where they are now, which is a potential playoff team down the road. Now, his stats in 2022, 2023, in 38 games, has had 10 goals, 23 points. So he has had a little bit of a decline from year 1, but he still has the potential to be a top 6 forward in the NHL. He also has the potential to be one of the best bright rising stars that the NHL has today. So Lucas Raymond having a little bit of a decline in year 2. That's why I have him at number 8. Very similar to Lafreniere at 9 and with Jarvis at 10, because their stats do not look great so far in year 3 or year 2 of their career. That's the reason why I have them a little bit low on this list, but it still have time to improve and still have time to become a better player. So for the last 3, I've talked about what they have done so far. Well, how about for number 7, I talk about a player that hasn't done anything yet, but has the potential and has the ceiling to do something incredible. At number 7, for the New Jersey Devils, I have Luke Hughes, who is the younger brother of Jack Hughes, Quinn Hughes. I mean, the Hughes family out there in the NHL is one of the best families in the NHL right now. The fact that you have a trio that are in the NHL is remarkable. But let's get to Luke Hughes for a second. So Luke Hughes, the 19-year-old who they drafted 4th overall in the 2021 NHL draft, came from Canton, Michigan. Now, right now, Luke Hughes has not played a single game in the NHL. The reason for that is that he's been very busy playing for the World Junior Championship as the captain of Team USA. As a matter of fact, he has spent the last 4 seasons playing for Team USA, either on their junior team or their national team for Team USA. I mean, in 2019-2020, in 48 games playing for the U.S. national under-17 team, had 28 points in 48 games. 2020-2021, he had 34 points in 38 games on the U.S. national under-18 team. He played in the World Championship for Team USA. He had 4 points in 10 games for Team USA in 2021. He also was part of the World Junior Championship in 2021. He had 6 points in 5 games, averaged an assist per game in the World Junior Championship. And like I said, for this year's World Championship in 2023, he has had 5 points in 7 games. 4 of those points being goals as a defenseman. Now, that is everything he has done with Team USA. He has been remarkable while being with Team USA. But how has Luke Hughes done in college? Because right now, at 19 years old, Luke Hughes has not only been an incredible performer for Team USA, but he has also played 2 seasons at University of Michigan as a defenseman for the Wolverines. Well, for University of Michigan in 2021, he had 39 points, 17 of them being goals in 41 games for University of Michigan. And so far in 2022, 2023, he has 18 points in 20 games. So Luke Hughes has the potential to be a superstar for the New Jersey Devils. And the fact that they have Dougie Hamilton, Ryan Graves, they have a lot of good talent already on the defense for the New Jersey Devils. Adding Luke Hughes and his resume from Team USA and from Michigan, I will say Luke Hughes at number 7 is very granted because of what he has already done and what he has already accomplished at 19 years of age for Team USA and for Michigan. So do not be surprised if Luke Hughes in 2 years becomes a Cale Makar. Do not be surprised if Luke Hughes becomes what his brother, Quinn Hughes, is now in Vancouver. Now, number 6, when it comes to our 10 best players under 21 in hockey, we're going to go to the Buffalo Sabres, a team that we talked about here on Vegas Hockey Hub a little bit ago. And Owen Power, who was the number 1 overall pick in the 2021 NHL draft. Owen Power, who is from Ontario, Canada, currently on his 2nd year of his 3-year deal he signed with Kevyn Adams and the Buffalo Sabres. Now, Owen Power, he has had 2 seasons playing in Buffalo. And his stat sheet does not really show the full picture. Because his stat sheet shows that he had 3 points in 8 games in 2021-2022. You know, in his brief tenure playing for the Buffalo Sabres last year, he only put up that much amount of points. It didn't look great on paper. But what you had to do was see Owen Power either play in person or you have to watch enough games on TV to know that Owen Power and Rasmus Dahlin are going to be the future core of the defense in Buffalo. That Owen Power and Rasmus Dahlin are going to be the vital rock that the Buffalo Sabres are going to have for the next half decade. I mean, Owen Power, in the way that he presents himself on the ice, he is going to be one of the best defensemen we are going to see in the NHL moving forward. As a matter of fact, he would be the best defenseman under 21 if it wasn't for somebody I'm going to talk about later in the show. So Owen Power in 2 seasons with the Buffalo Sabres, 42 games played, 2 goals, 17 points, and 17 is a plus 17 for the Buffalo Sabres. Owen Power, by the way, also competed in Team Canada at the World Championship, had 3 points in 10 games for them. He also had 2 seasons playing for University of Michigan alongside Luke Hughes, who I talked about earlier in the show, had 16 points in year 1, had 32 points in year 2. So Owen Power was successful with Team Canada. He was amazing in the USHL for the Chicago Steel and is now showing potential with the Buffalo Sabres. So before we get to number 5, I'm going to go over the top 10 one more time for anybody who just joined in. At number 10, we have Seth Jarvis from the Carolina Hurricanes, a really good goal scorer, someone who the Carolina Hurricanes will have part of their top 6 for the next couple of years. At number 9, we have the troubled number 1 overall pick from the 2020 NHL draft, Alexis Lafreniere. I mean, this is a guy that has insane amount of potential, but unfortunately, the New York Rangers and Gerard Gallant, it really feels like he is in a lose-lose situation out there in New York. At number 8, you have Lucas Raymond from the Detroit Red Wings, the second player from Detroit we're going to talk about on this list. Lucas Raymond, an elite goal scorer, someone who understands the game of hockey, and for someone who is under the age of 21, he is a rookie playing like a veteran. At number 7, we have Luke Hughes for the New Jersey Devils. I mean, what he has done with Team USA and what he has accomplished with University of Michigan. If you are a New Jersey Devils fan, be excited because the next couple of years, you are going to have your face of the defense in Luke Hughes. And at number 6, we have Owen Power from the Buffalo Sabres. Him and former number 1 overall pick Rasmus Dahlin are going to be the rock that helps the Buffalo Sabres in the future. Now, at number 5, we're going to have a guy who is the brightest part of the Detroit Red Wings' future, and that's Moritz Seider. All right, when it comes to Moritz Seider, he has been one of, if not the best defenseman statistically over the past 2 seasons. This is a guy who has been able to get the most out of his career so far up to this point. So Seider, who was the 6th overall pick in the 2019 NHL draft, he came over from Germany. He is currently on the second to last year of his rookie deal that he signed with Steve Yzerman back in 2019. So in 2 seasons, Moritz Seider, in 120 games played, 9 goals, 54 assists, 63 points with the Detroit Red Wings. This guy was in Rookie of the Year conversation and was one of the best young stars the NHL has had over the past 2 seasons. Now, if there wasn't a center that became an all-star this year, if there wasn't a guy who was a former number 2 overall pick and the face of his current franchise, and if there wasn't a cover star that is going to be a box office attraction in the NHL, he would be higher than 5th. All right, Moritz Seider would be a higher spot on this list if there wasn't 4 players that I believe are better than Moritz Seider. So at number 5, we have Detroit Red Wings defenseman Moritz Seider. At number 4, I got to give some love to Seattle Kraken, by the way, and their 2023 All-Star rookie center, Matty Beniers. Now, when it comes to Matty Beniers, he once again came from that highly touted University of Michigan class. Interesting enough, University of Michigan, this is the 4th time now that I'm mentioning them on this list. I talked about them with Luke Hughes, Owen Power, Matty Beniers, and there's going to be somebody later in this list that also came from there. So when it comes to Matty Beniers, the one thing I got to point out is that he became the all-star for the Seattle Kraken because he earned it. And as a matter of fact, if Logan Thompson was not doing what he's doing in Las Vegas, I would say that Matty Beniers would be the undisputed, unanimous decision for Rookie of the Year. Because what Matty Beniers has been doing for the Seattle Kraken is this. And I'm actually going to explain it to you now. So the 2nd overall pick in the 2021 NHL draft, he has had 14 goals, 30 points in 38 games for the Seattle Kraken. Just to really explain how Matty Beniers has been performing for the Seattle Kraken, he has had 17 goals, 39 points in 48 games for the Seattle Kraken. So in other words, Matty Beniers has been almost averaging a point per game as a 19-year-old for the Seattle Kraken. I mean, this is a guy who has really been one of the best young stars the NHL has today. And the reason why he became an all-star is because when he lights up the lamp, he will do it again and again and again. And if you ask me, the Seattle Kraken have found their superstar. The Seattle Kraken have found their face of the franchise, and that's Matty Beniers, who they got from University of Michigan. I also want to briefly give a shout-out real quick to Matty Beniers for averaging a point per game at University of Michigan. Yeah, 24 points in 24 games in 2020, 2021, and 43 points in 37 games in 2021, 2022. So yeah, Not only was Matty Beniers a legend at University of Michigan, he has transformed that to nearly being a point-per-game player in the NHL. So that's who I have at number 4. Now, number 3 was a very tough pick. Tim Stützle from the Ottawa Senators. This was tough because I was debating back and forth between having him at 2 and the guy that I eventually am going to have at number 2. The reason why is because Tim Stützle is one of the most talented players I have seen in the NHL. Tim Stützle, who came from Germany, there's a reason why with Pierre Dorion signed an 8-year deal, $66 million to lock up Tim Stützle until 2030, 2031. The reason why is because in 3 years, Tim Stützle, 167 games, 52 goals, and 126 points. This is a guy who had 58 points in year number 2 in Ottawa. He's also been following that up with almost another 20-goal performance in year 3. So you have somebody in Ottawa who has not just been consistent. You have someone in Ottawa who is clearly the best goal scorer you have had since the Danny Alfredsson, Jason Spezza, Danny Heatley days. Okay? There really hasn't been a young goal scorer in Ottawa since that era in the mid-2000s to late 2000s. Okay? Tim Stützle and Brady Tkachuk and maybe Josh Norris are the future core of the Ottawa Senators. And I will not be surprised if he and the other 2 guys I mentioned eventually help Ottawa get to a playoff spot somewhere down the road. Now, number 2 is the current poster boy of EA Sports. He is somebody that has become a box office attraction in the NHL, and he is someone that, as I've seen him play live, can say definitively will be a top 10 player in the NHL by the time he hits his prime. That by the time that Troy Terry, Mason McTavish, and Trevor Zegras eventually become the core in Anaheim, he will be the standout star on that team. And with him being a restricted free agent at the end of this season, I expect him to get a very nice payday from the Anaheim Ducks this upcoming offseason. Now, the reason why is because in 3 seasons in Anaheim, 140 games, near 40 goals, and 105 points with the Anaheim Ducks. Him doing the lacrosse Michigan play where he picks it up off his sticks and put it in the back of the net was impressive. He also had the All-Star competition where he dressed up as the average Joes, put the blindfold on. It was incredible. But nothing can stack up to the number 1 guy. And if you've been paying attention, I think I've made it very clear who the number 1 guy is, because that is Jack Hughes from the New Jersey Devils. A guy who's not only going to be a top 10 player when he hits his prime, but someone who can lead the New Jersey Devils to a bright future like he is currently right now. So this was our best players under 21 in hockey. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree or disagree with what we are saying. So once again, our list real quick for everybody who didn't get to see. Number 1 was Jack Hughes from the New Jersey Devils. Number 2 was Trevor Zegras from the Anaheim Ducks. Number 3 was Tim Stützle from the Ottawa Senators. Number 4, Matty Beniers from the Seattle Kraken. Number 5, Moritz Seider from the Detroit Red Wings. Number 6, Owen Power from the Buffalo Sabres. Number 7, Luke Hughes from the New Jersey Devils. Number 8, Lucas Raymond from the Detroit Red Wings. Number 9, Alexei Lafreniere from the New York Rangers. And number 10, Seth Jarvis from the Carolina Hurricanes. So until next time, I'm your host, Ian Rickelli. This was another fantastic episode of Vegas Hockey Hub. And until next time, continue supporting junior hockey, continue watching all hockey, and go Knights, go!